I've been given a script to speak from, which they don't want me to talk about a lot of things. So I'm just going to take a minute before I get into the script and say that in 2004 we organized a plant in Brooks called Lakeside Packers. When we organized that plant, the reason we were successful was because of temporary foreign workers. And the people were not allowed to go to the bathroom. They'd have to pee their pants. You'd be working on the floor and you'd literally have to pee. There was all kinds of problems of bladder infections. In that plant, when you walk to work, you walk through a quarter of a kilometer of fenced in with barbed wire on the top, like it was like going through a concentration camp. They had trailers out there that 40 people would live in a number of rooms in these trailers. There was a microwave above the washer and dryer that people had to use. They would go to McDonald's and places like that and pick up ketchup and come back and boil it with water in order to have something to eat. When they went to work there, they were given coupons by the company of $10, which they took out of their wages and what have you. When we went on strike there in 2005, it was the temporary foreign workers that won that battle for us. And when the strike was over, the elation on the picket line, the people got down on the ground and actually kissed the ground and said, "Thank God," in 401. And, you know, today we have a much better plant and we have to do a lot more things. But the other interesting thing, think of in 2004 of the racialness in the U.S. South. Remember back in the days when it still goes on to a degree, but remember back how, you know, blacks weren't allowed on buses or going to school and what have you. 2004 in Brooks, Alberta, we had two organizers walking down the street with two people from Somalia. The little old lady, gray-haired, probably about 75 years old, thereabouts, walked up to these workers and said, "You're the reason these in people are here." That's in Brooks, Alberta, in 2004. We have our own rednecks in this country. Anyway, getting back to my script. I think it's fair to say that based on our discussion tonight that there's still lots of work to be done on this file. Canada has long been a nation that has welcomed people from different parts of the world, and Alberta's own population has swelled due to an influx of people from outside the province seeking work and a better life. But initiatives like the Temporary Foreign Worker Program actually undermine our credibility. And Devin was mentioning about the seasonal workers. Growing up in southern Alberta after I moved there for PEI, they were called migrant workers there, and they came to work in the sugar beet plantations. Well, they were the sugar beet fields, but they were like plantations. So, you know, it's been going on for a long time. Workers who enter this program with hopes of new life for themselves and their families come in for a rude awakening pretty quickly. All too often, the hopes of those workers are used to take advantage of them, paying them second-rate wages and often placing them in harm's way. And let's be clear, those abuses are taking place with full knowledge of the federal and provincial governments. And they know about the abuses, but they care to not do anything about it. They turn a blind eye, they look the other way. Come on, that's the problem with reading from things that you make notes of. All the while, these conservative governments who claim to be the champions of economic prosperity for average Canadians in Alberta deliver just the opposite with programs like this. Temporary foreign workers aren't the only ones being used in this scenario. As Armine Yazdan of the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives said at the FL convention, while you're sleeping, your employer is out looking for a cheaper you. And that's so true. It's the same old story. The rich get richer and the working people get the shaft. Remember the song, "She got the gold mine, I got the shaft"? Now it's working people that get the shaft, and Harper and his cronies get the gold mine. Consider the avalanche of legislations we've seen lately attacking Canada's working middle class. The Harper government has literally declared war on the very people who built this country. Albertans and Canadians are fed up with this government and its various scandals. They know we need governments both in Ottawa and in Edmonton who actually value workers. We need governments that are prepared to invest in workers. If I've learned one thing from my time with UFCW Local 401, it is that never underestimate workers. Give it a chance, or workers will always surprise you. They will find ways of doing the things you don't think could be done. Workers are the real innovators. They are the real source of productivity and the success in this province and around the world. This success in Alberta isn't because of the tar sands. They don't get that oil out of the ground without the workers. And there was a lady that asked earlier about the temporary foreign workers up in the tar sands. There's getting to be more and more of them all the time. We represent camp workers up there, and a non-union camp worker gets paid $12 an hour. Our unionized camp workers get $24 an hour, to just show you the difference. And you know, they're being exploited up there. They get them in. They treat them like shit, to be quite honest. And an economy that benefits workers is an economy that will benefit this country. So thank you, Tom Mulcair and Malcolm Allen, for providing the leadership we need to in Ottawa on these issues like this. And I want to just personally thank Malcolm for the hard work he did during the Lakeside problems that we had with XL Beef in the last fall. Interestingly enough, I got a call from Maclean's magazine saying that we were creating the problem so that Thomas Mulcair could raise these issues in the House and in Ottawa. And I said, what are you talking about? And they said, well, you're making up all these things about these things happening in the plan. So the NDP has a threshold to talk about these things. And he says, and I know that you personally gave to Thomas Mulcair and Ray Martin here in Alberta. I said, look, you're true about that, but you're full of shit and F off, So I never did see anything in the papers about it. But thank you to David Egan and Siobhan Bicon for their excellent leadership in Edmonton. And a personal thanks to Devin. He's our focal point with UFCW. He puts in tireless hours, in the province, working on temporary foreign workers, and the rest of the time they expect him to organize every other place in Alberta. So I think we need to give Devin a great hand here for what he does for temporary foreign workers. And I want to thank you all for being here tonight. It's a great show. We have to work together, so let's get at it. As they say, Workers United will never be defeated. We will continue to challenge right-wing governments and their cronies. With help from our friends and the NDP, will survive, and we will make Canada even a greater country than it is here today. And the temporary foreign worker program is a bunch of bullshit. Thank you.